Okay, so it had overnight to dry. I think we can take the clips off, and I want to show you guys what the results are. We got a lot of clips, clamps, and we got the larger ones, so let's get all this out of the way. Okay, so hopefully you guys can see how it came out. Minimal of the gaps, just a tiniest little bit, and we'll file it down. I'll put just a bit of putty, and it really won't be too bad. Let's actually see if we can see this right here. I probably should have done this before. And everything is all set. This is going to go up into the nacelle. This is going to go up into the nacelle. And this is going to go down into the secondary hull. So let's just smooth this section out. Just like that. It looks pretty good. And we're all set to prime it. The only other area we're going to have to take care of is, I don't know if you guys can see the bridge. See the bridge dome? We're going to have to mask that off. And what I'm going to do is, I was thinking of using the tape, but I'm going to use the liquid latex, kind of like what we did for the 3,000 subscriber special, the Enterprise refit. Mixed up a little bit. There. What this is going to do is we're going to fill in this circle area. And we just got to form the circle. Just like that. Doesn't have to be pretty, but it does have to be in the circle. You can see that's all set. So now we got to wait for that to dry, and we can go ahead and prime it. See, this area is going to be underneath the hull, so that's not going to show. So I just want to make sure that the area along the edges is as smooth as possible. Tiny bit. And we're going to run it along the edge. We don't really need a lot. See, the line is visible, but when you run your finger up alongside, it's really nice and smooth. So there. All right, so now we got to wait for that to dry. All right, so that can be put aside to dry. I think what we're going to do now is we're going to put everything on to the floor in the paint booth and get it ready to paint. What we can do is, while we wait, we can do the deflector dish. And I have some special paint coming for the Bussard collectors. So when it comes to the deflector dish, what they call for is the copper metallic. So I think this is going to be a really nice color. And I was thinking about some of the pearl, the golden yellow, because the original plan was to do the rings that are around the little antenna part. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that, but we can do the piece that protrudes. We can do that in a different color. I think that'll look nice. This is, let's see, this is Testers 9473, and this is the paintbrush, the Aztec, but it's copper. See the inside part that's raised is going to be in copper as well, but we have to paint all of this and prime it. So we're going to paint it after it's got the base coat on, and before we put the deflector dish on, we'll paint that section with the copper. Let me show you guys how really nice this stuff is. With this, you might have to do a couple of coats. And lastly, where are my tweezers? There. So that's going to be the first coat. That looks pretty good. So we'll put this aside. We got to let this dry. And this is going to require a little bit longer. You'll know it's dry when it clears up. So it's not quite dry yet, so we can't paint now. What I'll do is, when we're ready to paint, we'll go over to the painting booth and we'll put the first coat on of the base of the primer. And I'm going to be using the Tamiya surface primer. So when we get to that section or stage, we'll move on. Okay, so the deflector dish had some time to dry, and I think what I want to do is we're going to put our second coat on and it'll look a lot better. So we're going to get our copper paint, and we'll do around the base just like that. There. Kind of smooth it out just like that. And I think 2 coats are going to be enough. That should be good. Okay. So let's put this aside to dry. Okay. So we have everything arranged. We're going to be able to put a little spritz of the primer on. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the exhaust on. And we're going to be using the Tamiya surface primer. Okay, so let me give you a little bit of an update what I've been doing. So we did the primer. You can see the windows. So I did a light coat on the outside of the ship. We did a primer coat on the inside of the ship. Then I put a dusting of the finish coat, just so it will be reflective. So what we can do now is we're going to flip everything over and we're going to start putting the finish coat on the outside. So I'm going to flip everything over. Let me show you what we're going to be using. We're going to be using the Tamiya, the finish coat, and this is the TS45 Pro White. Beautiful. I'm running kind of low on the paint. I'm wondering if we're going to have to open up another can. Looks like I'm down to my last can from this batch anyway. All right, now we're going to do the top of the primary hull. Just a couple of light back and forth motions. Okay, so I want to give a little bit of an update. We had the painting booth all set up. We did the priming, and actually, let me show you guys. I got the paints that we used. I want to just show them to you really quick. Let's put the light on. So the first thing I did was I used the surface primer, and it was the gray, and I chose the gray for a specific reason. And I'll get to that in a minute, but this is the Tamiya. So what I did was, once I put a coat on the outside and the inside of all the parts, again, we're using the Tamiya, and I wanted to go with the pearl. See how beautiful that color looks? It's got like that metallic finish. And what I thought was that with the thin coat over the gray, it would give that kind of, you'd be able to see the gray from it underneath, but then you'd see the white pearlescent metallic kind of finish. And what actually happened was it ended up coming out exactly the way I wanted. So let me show you guys what I'm talking about. So we did the inside. There's a really thin coat of the finish and the primer. So let me show you guys the outside. And hopefully you can see that kind of, it's got that kind of metallic finish, but it still looks sort of grayish through the underneath. I just thought that that would look really nice for the finish, especially with the decals on and all lit up. I'm thinking she's going to look pretty nice. Okay, so this is the top of the saucer section. And we get the bottom. Hopefully, again, you can see the metallic kind of finish. So I think that looks pretty cool. When it comes to the secondary hull, the same thing. Did thin coats of the primer and the finish coat on the inside and on the outside. Hopefully you can see that metallic kind of finish. And the only other painting we got to do for this is we have to put this section blue. So this is the starboard side. And we got the port side. And again, I didn't go as heavy on the inside as we did on the outside. Let's see. We got the nacelles, nacelle pylons. So let me unclamp this. This was only to keep it from falling onto the parts or having the wires mark it up. But you can see the, hopefully you can see the metallic gray kind of finish with the gray coming through. Let's see. We have the saucer, the deflector dish housing. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to paint it the same color as we painted the deflector dish. Actually, the deflector dish is right here. We have put the second coat on, so I think that's going to look really nice. Let me show you guys how it's going to go. Like that. But this is going to be copper as well. Let's take a look at the nacelles now. Again, it's not showing up on camera the way it does with the eye. It's got kind of like a sparkly mother of pearl kind of appearance. I love it. It's going to look good when she's finished with the black background of space. You see where the Bussard collector is going to go. And I'm going to show you what we're going to do for the Bussard collector in a minute. You can see the other side. Of course, this would be the starboard, the outer part of the starboard side nacelle. And the last part is the chiller grill, or the inner part, for the starboard side nacelle. And again, I hope you can see that metallic type finish. I love the way it looks on the grayish background. So when it comes to the Bussard collectors, and I would like to give a special shout out to my good friend Nathan, who actually told me about this. He had done a model and it looked really, really nice. So he had told me about the Tamiya, the clear orange. And this is the HMCC-1.60, the TS-73, the clear orange. And you can see the cap. And I think this is going to do a really nice job of what we want to do with the Bussard collector. Because when it comes to the Bussard collector, we're going to light it. And what I'm going to do is we're going to do a little bit of experimenting, and I want to see how the glowing LED bulb is going to look with the orange, and we're going to put different things in there to see how it looks. So when it comes to lighting the ship, I want to show you guys. You can see these. I know they're tiny, but that's the whole point. So we're going to light the whole ship up with these. And I'm not sure if we're going to plug them in yet or not. I'm thinking about using the button batteries, the 1.5 volt batteries. So if we do that, we won't need the resistors. But if we do anything over that, we're going to have the resistors, or we'll blow the bulbs out. All right, so that's the plan for the lighting. Now when it comes to the windows, remember we had drilled the holes in for the windows. And let me show you what I plan to do. We're going to be using the fiber optic cable. And this is the 0.03 inch or 0.75 millimeter fiber optic cable. So let me just get a piece out. So we're going to have a bunch of these, and we're all going to connect them. And what we're going to do is at the end, we're going to hook it up. And we're going to put a light there. See how that's lighting up? So let me see if I can get it a little more flush to the surface. There. Let me see now. I don't want to. Let's put this down. And when we put up a light into the fiber optics, see how the windows are going to light up now. So it doesn't matter what angle you're looking at it, we're going to have a light. And all the windows are going to light up on the ship. Well, all the areas where we drilled. And in addition to the fiber optics, we're going to have lighting on the outside of the ship as well as the lighting on top in front of, let's see, that would be C deck, and it would be illuminating the registry markings. And we're going to do the same thing for the bottom of the ship. We're actually going to put the registry markings, NCC-1934, underneath. And I think it's going to look pretty cool. Again, try to picture all the fiber optics in. Let's do one on the bottom section of the ship. So let's push it as close to the surface as we can. And let me show you guys. See how cool that looks? Let me bring this down a bit. But see how cool that looks? So all the windows are going to be lit. Now we can think about putting in all of the fiber optic cables and lighting the ship. So in the next video, I think what we're going to do is we're going to install all the fiber optics, and we're actually going to get everything ready to assemble and put it together. So my friends, I appreciate all the nice comments, and until the next video, I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching.